the city council meeting for December 13th, and we're opening for a pre-meeting. Kevin? Or
No.
we have to get
Public comment.
any public comment?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a presentation real quick that's
Seeing none.
printing out.
I
We
thought
can
we were
stay,
going in the other room.
well, we can stay in here. I printed it out, so you don't have to move. Let me just go grab it from the printer real quick.
Oh, sheet, that's what I.
Wasting
Do
paper?
you need to do?
No public comment.
What?
Just so we don't have to move.
Okay,
Yeah,
what about,
we're gonna have to
You
do a lot of
close
moving
it,
here
and
pretty
then we
soon.
go into closed
At least I just move one seat over.
you don't need to,
You gotta go two
I might
seats
get
over.
lost though before I get to my seat.
Yeah, well.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Close the meeting.
close the meeting.
We're going to close.
See if he knows a password.
This thing's not going. Here we go.
Middle button.
That's the middle button.
Oh, well, that thing's wrong. Okay, we'll open up the meeting back. Tom, will you report out on the closed session, please?
Sure. Council gave direction and
You gotta hit your mic.
council gave direction and received input from staff regarding potential sources of revenue and impacts on bargaining units. There was no specific direction given by the council, other than staff was given direction to continue working and bring forth a new version at a subsequent meeting. That's it.
Okay, with that, Mike, will you do the pledge of allegiance? Sure. Please stay standing for the prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag Stay standing, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together to meet, Lord. We thank you for this season, Lord, as we celebrate the birth of Jesus, and just an opportunity, Lord, to remember, to take time to settle back, to relax, to let some of the pressures go away, Lord. I just pray that tonight will be a good evening, Lord. I thank you for the city of Ripon and those that are leading it, Lord. Give them wisdom, give them direction and insight. Always thank you for the first responders that are always willing to step up and step in harm's way and provide safety and protection for us. Continue to keep them safe during this time and season. We pray for the least of these that are in our community this year, that they would find help and assistance, and that we would keep an eye out for those that are in need. We just thank you for this time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, Lisa.
Councilmember Gary Barton. Present. Daniel DeGraff.
Here.
Leo Zuber.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mike Verstucci.
Present.
Mayor Dean Euchre.
Here. At this time, is anybody from the public want to discuss anything that's not on the agenda? Seeing nobody, close that. Approval of the minutes?
I'll move we approve both minutes.
This should be done verbally, not with the computer, please.
Second.
Jimmy?
Call for a vote? Yes.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sure, what the heck.
Motion passes 5-0.
Stay opposed.
He said that he was okay with it. 5-0. Okay, with that, we're gonna do a reorganization of.
No, resolution to accept the ballot.
Oh, ballot, we have to accept the election results.
I'll move to approve. You sure, Leo? You sure?
Are you sure?
I'll make a
Sure.
second to the motion that we accept the election results.
We'll call for,
Is this a voice vote?
approval? Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
You just want an aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, I guess.
Aye.
Aye is right.
Okay, now we will do the administration of oath and change seating and.
If I can have the newly elected out here to do the oath of
In the front?
office, please. Gary, Mike, and.
We can't just stand up here?
You may stand right there if you'd like.
No, make them go in front and get their picture taken. We've all had to do it. They need to do it again.
It's only fair.
Lisa, did the resolution from the board, does that need to be approved by council?
Nope.
Okay.
What? Yeah, I have to, you have to.
That's right.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter, and will do so in a manner which is at all times in the best interest of the citizens of the city of Ripon. I do further swear that during such time that I am a member of the city of Ripon, I will not advocate nor become a member of any party or organization, political or otherwise, that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of the state of California by force or violence or other lawful means. If you agree, say I do.
I do.
Great, thank you. And now we will move into the council reorganization, which is dictated by section 2.04020 of the municipal code. It states that the designated mayor and vice mayor must be queried to accept or decline the positions. I've already queried Mike Rustusha and Leo Zuber whether they went to serve in the respective seats of mayor and vice mayor. Both have confirmed, so we will continue to be seated as noted in the agenda. Seat 1 will be Mayor Mike Rustusha. Yeah. No, you're good. Seat 2 will be Vice Mayor Leo Zuber. Seat 3 will be Councilmember DeGraff. Seat 4
Thanks for keeping my seat warm, Leo.
will be Gary Barton.
So I'm going over here.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you move him down one?
And seat 5 will be Councilmember Euchre.
Yeah.
Welcome to the fun end. I didn't drink that, no, you're good.
Okay, because I'm giving it to Dee.
Okay.
Do I get to keep all the candy? Nothing in there.
Mayor Rustusha, the meeting is yours when you're ready.
This is a really upscale neighborhood.
Okay, let's see here. What do we got here?
We're at the Ripon City Council meeting.
Is that where we're at? Okay, do we have approval of the agenda?
Anybody pulling anything?
I don't think they are. Nobody's pulling anything, so I went right to it.
I'll make a-
Unless they made it, just change their minds.
Yes, yes, everything verbally tonight?
Now we can go back on the computers because Mayor Rustusha is in his respective
Correct, Mayor.
Okay, so nobody's pulling.
Yes,
anything.
I've asked to pull an item, 1.3A.
1.3A, the single audit,
Correct.
okay? Anybody else want to pull anything? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the agenda with 1.3A excluded?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
Whoop. Hold on. Okay, 5-0.
We'll take the item under consent calendar first.
Yes. Now we'll approve the consent calendar, and then we'll take the item.
I'll
Okay.
move to approve as amended.
I'll second that.
Hold on, I'm not getting my vote.
I'm not either.
There you go.
Here we go.
Okay, 1.3A, Jerry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just had a couple of questions for Kevin on this item. The first one being our enterprise capital fund, specifically for our garbage, and we're adding about $95,000 to that fund. I know from previous discussions, we've got state mandates that are going to require considerable capital outlays for our garbage system in town, and I just would ask Kevin to maybe help us understand at this point how he thinks we're going to get there in terms of funding those additional needs.
Sure, happy to do it. You're right, what we did in this fund for last fiscal year is we essentially transferred the difference between revenue and expenses. And that was that 90-some thousand dollars that went to the enterprise capital fund. And that fund is used to replace largely garbage trucks. So the initial projection that was done in 2020, when we established the rates, and we're going to talk about this again in a later agenda item, but we were hoping to be able to transfer $280,000. And the biggest reason that didn't happen was some of the regulatory expenses. And the ones that impact us the most is the one that we're having the hardest time to project, and that's tipping fees. The different operations that we take the trucks to take our solid waste to have been impacted by the regulatory or the regulations they're required to meet, and that just gets passed down to us as well. So that is what reduced the amount of the transfer to the enterprise capital over time, and you'll see this in our later presentation. It does improve, or we're assuming it's going to improve, is a 5% increase this year, and hopefully we're getting much closer to what we anticipated being able to transfer.
Very good, thank you. My second question, Mr. Mayor, is with regard to our PFFP capital funds, specifically the potential SSJID connection. I just thought in a public forum it'd be good to have Kevin address that again and how the city is planning for that eventuality.
So one of there's a couple of very large expenses, but the near-term large expense that we're planning and trying to determine the best way, or at least present to council some of the options of how you could fund it, is the pipeline that would connect the city of Ripon water system to the SSJID South County Water Project, their transmission main that's located on French Camp Road up Jacktone on Five Corners. So that's a fairly large capital project that would likely be funded from a couple different funds, such as the AB 1600 fund, as you noted, and likely Enterprise Capital Fund. And then we're also trying to get grants to fund that project as well. As part of staff's analysis, we're looking at how those are being allocated depending on benefits. Some of the benefits is being allocated to new growth because it's expanding the system and our water supply capacity, and then some of those are being allocated to existing residents because it's replacing wells that have been put out of service because of water quality. So that's gonna be part of the analysis. We're hoping to have that done early next year. We're working with SSJID staff to make sure we put that together and be able to really talk to council about some of those funding options.
Very good.
You good?
Thank you.
You want to make a motion to approve 1.38, please?
I do, I've so moved.
Okay.
Second it.
We have a motion, we have a second to approve 1.3A. And it passes 5-0. Okay, now that's the end of the consent calendar. We're going to move on to, can you hear me? Public hearings, well, I just want to make sure. This is the PFFP Capital Funds Annual Report. This is a public hearing on an annual report of public facilities finance plan, capital fees covered under Government Code Section 66,000. Recommended action, approve the annual PFFP report for the period ending June 30th, 2022. I'm going to go to staff, then I'll go to council, then I'll open the public hearing, then I'll go back to council. Is that
This direction, Mr. Mayor.
Lisa?
Yes. So as you said, this is a public hearing on our annual report of our capital fees. The staff report provides information for the council regarding the Public Facility Financing Plan Annual Progress Report and the requirements under the government code, along with how this report ties to our fund summary balances report as of June 30th, 2022. The PFFP report has been prepared in accordance with the requirements of the government code, and it's prepared consistently with prior years. Action would be to approve this, but as you said, this is a public hearing. I'm happy
Good.
to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'm going to turn over to council first if there's questions or comments before I open the public hearing. Just to clarify things? Nothing?
I have one. I'll do it now rather than later. And it's just a comment, and I think I say this every year.
I'll guess.
But there are 13 accounts in here for a total of 15, almost $16 million. But 4 of those accounts are negative to the tune of $6 million. So we really only have $9 million to spend. And all of that is because those 4 borrowed against the other 9 in order to fund projects before they'd collected all their funds. So over time, we're gonna get the money back. But my concern is if we run, and it always has been, if we run into things that we need to do, at some point, we'll run out of money. And so, for instance, in a little while, we're going to approve a project that's gonna take another $450,000 out of here. So instead of having $16 million, we'll have 15.5. So I never have liked funding ahead when you borrow money from something that you might need. And this was a perfect example of that. We haven't done it since I've been here. We won't do it as long as I am here. But we do have a potential problem. If big projects came up that we needed to fund, and we can't do it, even though it says there's money there. 6 million of it, we don't have until those other 4 get all their money collected and pay it back. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think to expand on that, it may be a long period of time before we get that money too.
Yeah, I think these whole things run till 2040,
Yeah, yeah.
so it could be 18 years before some of these get back to zero.
And that's assuming we build to that extent.
Right.
If we don't build to that, it could be 20, 50, 60, who knows? Okay, so any other comments before okay, so this is a public hearing, so I'm gonna open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience wants to address this particular item? Nobody? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, so note that nobody from the public wants to address this. I will close the public hearing and send it back to council if there's any other comments, concerns, questions.
I'll move to approve the report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second.
Oops. What happened to my thing?
Okay, passes 5-0. This is also a public hearing, and this is Development Agreement Annual Review. Should the City Council agree with the Planning Commission's recommendation, the following motion would be appropriate. City Council accepts the staff report as the written report from the Planning Commission that there has been compliance in good faith with the terms and conditions of each respective development agreement. That's not a public hearing, is it? No, Kent,
It is.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is our annual housekeeping item that we go through every year. The Planning Commission did review the development agreements at their last meeting and did find them to be in compliance with the terms therein. So this staff report serves as their written recommendation to the City Council. This is a public hearing tonight, and there is a recommended action in the staff report for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Ken? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing. Does anybody have any comments on 2B? Strike 2, okay, seeing nobody. You getting up to comments, Steve? Okay, seeing nobody then, I'm gonna close the public hearing and turn it over to council, what the council would like to make a motion.
I'll move to accept the staff report regarding development agreements.
Okay, Gary, did you hit? Gary's gotta move it. Seconded, Dean. Okay, there we go. All right, one more public hearing. TEFRA hearing. This is a public hearing in connection with the proposed issuance of tax-exempt revenue bonds by the California Municipal Finance Authority to finance the construction of the terraces at Bethany Home. The recommended action, the City Council to execute the joint exercise of powers agreement of the CMFA and adopt a resolution in favor of the issuance of the bonds by the CMFA. Is that Kevin?
I could introduce this item, and then there's a representative from the California Municipal Finance Authority here who could provide some additional
good.
background information. But the CMFA has been asked by Bethany Home to be the issuer of tax-exempt financing for the terraces at Bethany project that was approved by the City Council in July 2022. As such, they've requested 2 actions by the City Council. One is to conduct a public hearing, which is on the agenda for tonight. And then the second is to adopt a resolution to become a member of the CMFA and to approve the financing of the project by the CMFA. So Mr. Stubbs, if you'd like to come up and provide additional background information, yeah, and answer any questions, that'd be great.
Thanks for having me tonight. Anthony Stubbs with the California Municipal Finance Authority. As Kevin mentioned, we're here tonight pursuant to the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or TEFRA. TEFRA requires that a public hearing be held anytime in that jurisdiction, anytime a project to be financed in that jurisdiction is being financed with tax-exempt financing. In this case, Bethany Home requested that the CMFA be the issuer of an amount not to exceed $60 million to finance the project. The CMFA is a joint powers authority. We were established to help nonprofits, local governments, and businesses with the financing of both taxable and tax exempt financing. One thing to point out and to make very clear is this financing is not an obligation of the city. All the financing documents will carry clear disclaimers that the city has no legal responsibility or involvement in the financing, the issuance of the financing, or paying back financing. This is strictly to adhere to the TEFRA and the California Government Code and Federal Code. And with that, I'll take any questions. Yeah.
Okay. I have a bunch of questions, but anybody have any questions first? No?
Go ahead.
You want to wait? Okay.
I'll wait.
So, I understand what you just said, and I read a bunch of information you guys sent over today, but I'm going to ask the questions anyway, because I want to make sure that I understand it.
Absolutely.
Who executes the bond documents?
Well, there's multiple documents, but this is the issuance between the CMFA will be the actual issuer, so will be executed by the CMFA. Bethany Home is the borrower of the financing, so they'll be involved in that. And then the underwriter and marketer of the bonds is Ziegler.
So they actually execute a note?
Correct.
Okay. Do you take a lien?
Yeah, well, yes, but the borrower is the ultimate responsible
Yeah.
party for
Okay.
this note.
And we sign nothing. We just do this action tonight?
Absolutely. The city acts as basically the forum for which we come to say that tax exempt financing is being used. So it's a transparency thing for the community, just saying that we plan on accessing tax exempt financing.
I'm for this, don't get me wrong, I just want to make sure I understand how all this works. Tom understands it very well, but I read the documents today. So based on what you said, I don't want to assume anything. The city bond rating, because we have some bonds out there, and we need to meet minimum requirements of quality, AAA because of our rate, we have a default rate, et cetera. We don't get impacted at all
This
whatsoever.
has absolutely no impact on the city's bond rating.
Now or in the
Like I said,
future.
the city is involved in no aspect in this bond financing, other than holding this hearing. And
Okay, we have no reporting, okay. I guess this would be more for Kevin. Have we talked to any other cities that have done this to kind of know what the process is?
Yeah, I've spoken with representatives of the county of Merced, the cities within Merced County, some colleagues also in city of Stockton and in San Joaquin County. This is, as the gentleman describes, it is the customary path that they move forward in order to provide tax exempt financing. The first couple of times you read it through, I will grant you, you start wondering where, how does this all connect? And I think it connects in the resolution itself. If
Yep.
you read the resolution and track it, I think that's where the clarity comes through, and it makes sense in terms of the city's obligations and rights and responsibilities under the agreements. So, from that standpoint, he is correct. The city's obligations are minimal in as much as we're called to have a hearing and to sign on to a JPA agreement. The key to joint powers authorities, as they're trying to set up here, is that each of the member agencies in that authority have the same common power and the same right to do municipal financing, and that's where we come in on that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because the letter we got was from not our council.
Right.
It's from some third-party council that says they're representing us, but they're not really, they're representing you all, kind of telling us and you're comfortable with that?
Right,
Okay.
right, exactly. It was a memorandum that was prepared in connection with a similar transaction, because the same questions come up regardless of where they go with this particular financing mechanism. So that Oric Harrington update was helpful.
Okay.
You saved our staff a lot of work.
No, I mean, I think that's good. I mean, I read all the information, but I wanted an attorney to look at it. Have you ever had a default?
No, we have not, actually.
Okay.
There have been no defaults in the history of our organization.
So you don't know how you'd handle one then? Okay, no, that's fair.
It would be handled any way a typical default would be
Okay.
handled. The borrower and their lenders
Okay.
would handle it
Yeah.
in
I
whatever
think
manner.
Well, I read all the information, and that's all this stuff I understood very clearly, but I wanted to ask to make sure I'm confirmed, because I don't want us to be on the hook for anything.
Yeah, I think that's not to say that no transaction has gone,
In a workout?
yeah, in a workout
Yeah,
situation,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Thank you. Question?
I had a couple of questions. One of the things that it mentions in, I think it was the bylaws or something. There were two things that were mentioned. One, that the directors of the organization get compensation. And later on, someplace it says that 25% of something
Yep.
is coming back to the city.
Yep.
Where does that money come from? Both of them.
So first of all, just to clarify, the board of the CMFA are not paid. But the CMFA has a staff that advises the board, and they are paid. And this payment is, they're paid from operations in carrying out these financings. So we take a financing fee, issuance fee for each financing that we do, and that compensates the staff for the CMFA. The CMFA, when it was organized, made it a point, it's not a requirement, it's not a state or federal requirement, but it's a CMFA requirement that we share 25% of that issuance fee with the host municipality. So the city, in this case, will receive 25% of the CMFA's issuance fee.
Okay. And the last question I have, we're joining so that this can happen. If we pull out, does that cause them any problems?
It won't cause them any problem, as long as you stay a member up until the closing of the financing. But after that, you can separate yourselves from the CMFA
Okay.
through a letter of anything. But we have over 350 cities, counties, special districts that are members of the CMFA. Nobody has ever opted out, not saying they couldn't. And in fact, in the agreement, it says with any written request.
Right, no, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah,
if we
won't-
did it, it
won't
wasn't
affect
gonna cause a problem for them.
Correct.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah,
When's
one-
the anticipated closing?
Shortly here, January 30th.
January 30th? I'm sorry, Gary.
Yeah, so one follow-up to Councilman Zuber's question. So the issuance fee in the documentation you provided is somewhere, if I recall correctly, a little over $5 million. 25% of which would be,
Well, that's
One-
not the issuance fee to the CMFA. Those are issuance costs. So that's the cost of their financing, everything like that.
okay, so how much is,
The issuance fee
What's
to
the
the
fee portion
CMFA
of
is, I wish it was that much.
okay,
Much smaller than that. The city can expect to receive approximately, I should have looked this up before coming, but approximately $15,000.
well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, like
No,
I said.
I knew it
wish
wasn't-
ours was greater too.
I knew it wasn't 1.5.
He thought he was gonna go spend the money.
There's nothing to say
I was gonna do a new report out.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
No, you guys asked all.
Okay, I'm gonna open the public hearing, but you may wanna wait, because maybe
Yeah, I'll-
they may have questions of you, I don't know. So we're done up here, I'm gonna open the public hearing. If anybody in the audience would like to say anything? No? Okay. I think we understand it much better, so. I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you. And what would the council like to do?
I'll move to approve, what are we doing? To execute the joint exercise of powers agreement and adopt the resolution in favor of the issuance of the bond.
Yes.
Second that. Oh. Go ahead. All right, I will. Got it.
Passes 5-0. Thanks, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for the presentation.
Yes, thank you.
The demo looks good. Let's get the building going.
Yeah. See you guys. Merry Christmas.
Not messing around.
Okay, 3B, Water Sewer Garbage Enterprise Funds Annual Rate Adjustment Analysis. Oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry, I just scratched that one off, sorry. Fleet Maintenance Facility Project. Award the base bid contract for the fleet maintenance, I thought it was Dean, facility project to Need Construction, Inc. in the amount of $11,156,000 and authorize staff to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in the way of background, the original corporation yard that we're using now is located at Doak and Vera, and it was constructed in 1976. And when it was constructed, the population of Ripon was 3,500, and there were 7 employees in the Public Works Department. Obviously, the city has grown, our Public Works Department has grown, and we started a process probably back in 2005 of starting to realize a new corporation yard. We initially purchased about 7 acres of undeveloped property on Doak Boulevard, which is the location for the new corporation yard. That's between the fueling station and the animal shelter. We hired an architect back in 2019, and the purpose of that contract was to prepare a master plan of what the ultimate facility would look like on that property, and then also to look at how you can phase that, considering the operations of the Public Works Department and also the funds available to construct such a facility. So they presented this to council, and we came up with a plan to really focus on what we call a fleet maintenance facility. So that would have a 12,500 square foot building, 6 stalls, a machine shop, offices, restrooms, and locker rooms. There's also some renderings of how that facility would look in the staff report and the agenda online if anyone's interested. Once the design was done, we did go out and bid the project on November 17th, and DD Construction, as you mentioned, was the low bidder. Staff is also included in the staff report, in addition to the bid amount, the additional expenses that would be associated with this project. That would include a contingency, some of the city furnished equipment, development fees for outside agencies that we're going to be responsible for, and then the materials testing and having our architect assist as needed during construction to respond to contractor questions or any issues that arise. That would be $1.876 million, bringing the total capital cost to move forward with this facility at $13,032,000. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have a comment. Just like I was surprised and impressed with with having that many bids being, especially the closest bottom ones being that close is kind of surprising, but in a good way that you're getting a good bid that way. So, good job to the bidders.
I just have a couple comments. One is, do we have somebody look at these to make sure that what they bid on is actually what the plans show? Do you have a third party? Because, we rarely see, but we see where, whoops, missed that or missed something. And does somebody look at this, make sure they're all the same? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
staff reviewed the bids, and so did LDA Partners, the architect.
Okay.
And they review the bids to make sure that they are responsive to the bid documents. They make sure that they're a responsible contractor, and that's what, and that they turned in all the required bid bonds and such.
Wow, this thing is far overdue.
Yeah.
No doubt. so you guys ought to be happy, James. So, okay,
Happier when he moved in.
yeah, exactly. Okay, no other comments? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we approve the recommended action there.
I'll second.
Okay, starting tomorrow?
About 60 days?
Okay, good. Okay, good job. Okay, 3B, Water Sewer Garbage Enterprise Fund Annual Rate Adjustment Analysis. Staff is recommending the city council approve implementing the February 1, 2023 rate increases for the water 2%, sewer 4%, garbage 5% enterprise funds that were originally approved in 2020. So this has already been approved. We're just talking about implementing it, right? Okay. Are you doing that too?
I could do that one too. You're exactly right, Mr. Mayor. When this was approved in 2020 through the Proposition 218 process, the city council did direct staff to bring this back each year to confirm the rate increases initially included in that Proposition 218 process still makes sense. You can't include anything higher than that, but if council chose, they could go lower. And that has happened in the past. When we went through this in the previous 5-year cycle, there was times the city council lowered the rate increases that were originally proposed in that 218 process. So the consultant who originally prepared that analysis, he went through and he updated it, and there's a technical memo in the staff report or in this agenda item that compares the water, for each of the enterprise funds, what was included in the original 2020 rate study, and then what we're seeing right now in the 2023 rate review. So in summary, water fund and sewer fund, I'll combine those together. The biggest things we look for, obviously you're paying the operations, paying the debt, but in addition to that, as Councilmember Barton talked about early, are the transfers happening to the Enterprise Capital Fund to make sure that money is being put aside to do the capital replacement projects when they need to happen. So, and then the last thing we look at is the balance, and there's a target balance that we try to stay within. So for both the water fund and the sewer fund, the transfers that were projected to happen are happening, and then the balance is very close to the target balance that was identified in the 2020 study. To continue to make those transfers and ensure that balance remains at that point, staff is recommending the full rate increases for each of those. And then for the garbage fund, this is the one we talked about that has had some of the challenges with the transfer, so I won't repeat that, but for that reason, we're also recommending the full rate increase. So for water, that would be a 2% rate increase. For the sewer enterprise, it would be a 4% rate increase, and garbage would be a 5% rate increase. So the overall impact to customers would be 3.5%, and that would come to, on average, for most customers, it would be $3.92 a month. The other thing that council has asked staff to do is start tracking some of the regulatory expenses. So we have processes in place that better track it going forward, but we did take a look back in fiscal year 22 and try to estimate as much as we could what those expenses were. So table 2 in this report shows in water, it was a little over $100,000 for that year, sewer $117,000, garbage about $115,000. So in total, for all 3 of the enterprise funds, that would attribute to about $4.69 of an individual's bill. Typically, at least in fiscal year 22, that bill was about $112. So of that $112, about $4.70 were related to the regulatory requirements we're required to carry out by the state.
That's a state mandate.
State mandates, correct.
Okay,
So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
okay. Councilman Barton, were you gonna?
No, I just had a comment.
Okay. Any comments? No? No comments? Okay,
Yeah, I have one comment, Mike.
okay.
We discussed this a few months ago, and I apologize for not asking Kevin this before. I won't address it as a question, but Ripon remains very competitive relative to cities in our surrounding area in terms of the fees that we charge for our utilities. And occasionally we get pushback on our rate increases, but particularly in the inflationary environment that we're in, a 3.5% rate increase sounds very reasonable to me for the services that the city is providing.
Well, and I think that shows that we run a pretty efficient system here versus the other cities as well, so congratulations to you guys.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Gary.
I'll move to approve the rate increases as proposed.
Second.
Okay. Now we move on to C, Grand Jury Report number 0321, Cybersecurity Local Defense Against a Global Threat. Approve and authorize the mayor to sign the letter of response to the findings and recommendation of the grand jury, case number 0321 for the Superior Court of California, County of San Joaquin County regarding cybersecurity local defense against a global threat.
Chief?
Oh, is that Chief?
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought that would be.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Honorable City Council. Earlier this year, the city of Ripon, along with other agencies within the county, received a report from the grand jury on cybersecurity. We prepared a draft response last month and presented that to the city council as a draft with little to no comments or direction given towards modifications to that document. The document is back in front of you tonight for discussion and approval. Also, the original grand jury report is attached to the documents that you have in your packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions, either myself or our IT technician can.
Any questions? Let me just say, every federal agency has this, every financial institution's spending a lot of time with these things. I mean, just a ton of time and a lot of money.
Yeah, and this document kind of, well, part of this response is formulating a plan to help formalize some of those processes that they're requesting. So that was previously approved in the consent portion of the agenda. But this would actually just approve and authorize the mayor to sign the responses and get that back to him.
Yeah, okay. Any comments, questions? No? Okay. We have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve and authorize signature.
Second that.
Okay. Now it's me, but I have nothing to hand anybody, so it says, Mayor Restucci discuss council committee and task force appointments. So that means
Jane will send us the forms.
you will send them the forms, they will send them back. When do you want them back by?
When do you want them back by?
You're the mayor.
Tomorrow. Next week?
Just keep our committees the same as they are and move on.
Well, just put what you want to do. I mean, on there.
Leave them alone, I don't care.
I know, but I don't know what they
You
are.
happy with your advisory water
Gary
commission?
Hold it. I thought you wanted check review this.
No.
Dan.
Okay, do you want to stay where you're at?
I'm fine.
Do you want to stay where you're at?
Sure.
Okay, do you want to stay where you're at?
Yeah, Gary needs someone else to do the check review though.
I'm fine.
You okay, so you want to stay where you're at? Okay, so everything stays the same then.
Next, if he doesn't.
Okay, then I don't think you need to send it out. If everybody wants to stay where, I don't even know what I'm on, so.
We do go back onto LAFCO in 2023, so we would need somebody for that.
For what?
LAFCO.
LAVCO?
It's once a month.
I think Mr. Barton should think about doing that.
LAFCO.
Well, wait a minute, I'm the mayor, I get to assign, right? Mr. Barton, you will be doing that.
We'll discuss it.
It has to come back next month for
Approval anyways.
anyway, right? Okay.
If there's something they need someone new for, let us know, but otherwise I'm happy on the things I'm on. And
Okay.
everybody
Yeah,
else
I
is-
feel the same way.
I'll have my wife talk to Mr. Barton.
Conversation
I guess I'll be doing that.
Okay, with that then, we will now move to department heads. Chief, anything else to report? Okay, Kai? Ken?
Just a couple items. We have 2 parcel map applications, which will be going in front of the planning commission on Monday evening. If you'd like to join us.
Okay, James?
Yeah, just real quick, Mr. Mayor. I did want to go over the water usage numbers for the last couple of months. October, we were 10% below our baseline of 2013, but we were actually 13% above our usage from last year. In November, we were at 21% below our 2013 numbers, but 15% above last year's numbers. And these fall months and spring months are kind of hard to predict. You get some big swings with a little bit of water. And then our water conservation coordinator is out on patrol. He's finding people that are still watering on the wrong days. He issued 147 warnings in November, 24 leak notices, and then 6 penalty assessments were issued as well.
Wow.
And then just to note, we have been reaching out to the businesses regarding the non-functional turf loan program. So he's made contact with each of the businesses. Formal letters and flyers are going out to them now, and then we'll be following up with them at the beginning of the year to see if there's any interest.
The ones that you did talk to, is there any interest so far?
Yeah, it hasn't garnered a whole lot
Yeah, I
at this
didn't think so.
time. So
Tell them they could just plant a tree,
that's
save the air.
we're kind of outlining what they can do.
He's not suggesting that, he's just saying that's
I am.
part of the requirement.
They just vacuum carbon dioxide.
Well, as folks ask, yeah, how do I get, away from this, or why aren't they, a part of this program? Yeah. That's it.
Okay, council? Nothing to report? Kevin, anything else?
Nothing to report.
Councilman Barton?
Couple of things. One, again, a shout out to Kelly and her team at the chamber for just a wonderful Christmas parade. That was, it's just a heartwarming event to see our main street lined with people, in many cases several deep, enjoying a really neat evening. It's one of those, Ripon is a special place moments again, so thank you for your work in putting that together. Second, just a quick shout out to Ripon Christian. Their girls volleyball team won the state championship, which is a pretty cool thing. First time since 1999, I believe, and their current coach was on that championship team, so congratulations to them. Second, congrats to the RC boys football team who made it to the NorCal championship game and suffered a heartbreaking defeat after some injuries in the previous game, but a wonderful season for them. And then finally, just in the spirit of the season, I wish everyone peace and goodwill. Enjoy time together with family, and have a heart of gratitude for the city and the country in which we live.
Mr. DeGraff?
Why you say it like that? You don't want me to go after Gary again?
What?
Appreciate everyone being here and sitting through. Everybody's got pretty quiet tonight. That's all right though, but appreciate people coming and showing up, listening to us, and providing feedback where they want to. I'm going to give praise to Kelly too in the chamber for the Christmas parade, and to everybody who joined in and entered into the parade. Fantastic job. The PD for doing a good job keeping the crazy vendors with all their stupid little things out. That was quite nice this year. Gary touched on the sports teams, and I'll add one more to that. I know they're our rival and they're our neighboring city, but Escalon's football team won their state championship as well. So kudos to them as well, even though I shouldn't be saying that here.
His father went to Escalon, so that's fine.
One of my good friends is the head coach there, so a disclaimer. But let's see, The Ripon Community Athletic Foundation last night celebrated their completion of the Ripon High Stadium project, which was a massive endeavor, huge community support to make that thing happen, and it's pretty impressive to see what the community coming together can do. So, yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of big ideas, and through that connection between hopefully the city, the school district, community, pretty amazing things can happen. So congratulations to them.
Here, here.
And that's it.
Yep. And it took me an hour and a half to
Merry
thaw.
Christmas.
Took me an hour and a half to thaw out when I got home.
It
from
was
there.
cold, yes.
Mr. Euchre.
Yes, I have just a short thank you for people re-electing me and Mike. And I think it sends a message that this council has worked together and kept this city in great shape. And I guess I've got to congratulate Gary, but nobody ran against him, but he still got, but anyway, I've been on this council, this will be 20 years if I live long enough, and this group of fellows here is probably the best group that I've ever worked with, and I'm proud to be on this council. Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks, Dean.
Can I add one more
Sure,
thing to
yeah.
mine? I was gonna say something earlier, but while we did the acceptance of the election results, but congratulations to the three of you.
Thank you.
I think it says a lot about your guys' work and effort on this council, and Gary to run unopposed, a testament to your abilities as well. So congratulations to the three of you. Look forward to 2 more years and 4 more years of you guys. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Zuber.
In the interest of letting Planning Director Zeidevart get to his son's performance, I have nothing to say.
What? Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. I have a couple things. One is, Dean, I'm with you. I want to thank everybody for putting us back up on it. You know, it was really interesting to this campaign. We ran because there was a third party that ran. But I'm glad they did, and I would give them a thank you note if they did move out of town. But it was interesting because I met so many people I didn't know that knew me, that thanked me for everything we did, and I always credit, of course, the council for that. And I reconnected with people and made stronger friendships with people, and I made new friends that will last forever through the entire thing. So I'm glad I ran. I mean, it was the best thing that could ever happen. So please thank your friend for that. I do appreciate that. Lastly, one of the things that and I don't know when it stopped, but we used to give out resolutions from the city council to like ribbon cuttings, to like Kelly's ribbon cuttings. And what reminded me of that is every time I go now, which I probably make 99% of them, we have one from Supervisor Rickman, we have from Congressman Harder, and we get one from Heath Floor's office. And I talked to Kevin about, do we have the time to do that? I'd like to reinstitute that again. It's just gonna be a standard resolution. It doesn't need to come here every time. So if there's a ribbon cutting or something like that, we can also not just sit in the back and everybody else hand a resolution out. Because I think it'd be nice for us as a city to recognize the people that are moving into town and all that. Huh?
Why did we stop doing that?
It could have been COVID. I don't remember why we stopped, but we did do it at one point. Yeah, really, okay. But I'd like to reinstitute that again, and Kevin said we got the time, and so.
That's a good idea.
Anyway, with that, anything else?
Let's go home.
Nope, okay. Meeting adjourned. Now we have the next meeting, which is the successor agency agenda. Roll call, please.
Director Dean Euchre. Gary Barton.
Present.
Daniel DeGraff. Vice Chairman Leo Zuber.
Here.
Chairman Mike Wistusia.
Present. Okay, public discussion. Anybody in the audience wants to talk about anything on the successor agency? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes?
We'll do this one all verbally, please.
We'll do it verbally.
Did you move to approve?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the consent calendar is presented.
I'm gonna move, you second.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
I didn't even get my motion to
Oh,
adjourn in.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. All right.
Thank you for being to that meeting too.
Yeah, thank you all for being at both meetings.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate you. Congratulations. Thank you, I appreciate it, thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, how are you? Good to see you, Carrie.